All right, what is up, Macomb? You know what time it is. It's time for C4 Sports right here on 88.3 The Dog. Thank you, everybody, for listening, whether you're listening live on 88.3 or online at 883thedog.com, where you can listen to anything that the station plays live at any time. But right now we got some sports talk. We're in the studio 5 to 7. My name is Matt Langman. You should hit all of us up on Twitter. Me personally, it's at lmanmatt93. And here's the rest of my partners in crime for the next 2 hours.
I'm Ryan Mason, and I guess I'm now the resident Big Ten hater, if you were tuning in last week. And you can follow me at Mason_IL
And I'm Darius Hawkins, and as always, y'all can follow me at _Hawk_13.
All right, so let's get to it. First, we're going to start with some Western Illinois football. As you know, this past weekend, things didn't go quite as planned, even though I don't know what people kind of expected. We were at Wisconsin. We kept it close in the first half. It was only 9-3 going in half, which you could say was a mental victory for Western Illinois. But then Wisconsin blew it open in the second half, cruising to a 37-3 victory. Tanner McAvoy, the Badgers quarterback, was just kind of all over the place, especially in that second half. Ran for a touchdown, threw for a couple. It was a rough day, especially offensively for the Leathernecks. I think the defense did about as good as they could against the Big Ten, a ranked offense. It was the first time Western actually played a nationally ranked FBS team since taking on then number 11 ranked LSU during the 2003 season. So it's been a while, and it kind of went, I guess, the way people expected. At least the second half did. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised, turning on the TV right around halftime to see it was 9-3. I believe a Nathan Knuffman field goal at the halftime buzzer made it 9-3, and then it was kind of went as expected from there. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
The beginning of the game wasn't too bad. I was flipping between that and my Illini. I was surprised. I was expecting to see maybe a touchdown in there and maybe take the lead early on and maybe show the Wisconsin fans just a little bit quiet. But then halftime adjustments really changed. It was a very good game by Wisconsin. They just could not do anything wrong in that second half. And in the beginning of the game, you knew when the first points they scored were off of a safety. You knew there was something going to go bad with Western. And I thought a complete collapse in the first quarter. And I'm just happy they stayed with it until halftime.
Yeah, I heard about how that safety went down. And I guess apparently every football player doesn't know the rules. Because, I mean, I know that you can't pick up the ball and go into the end zone and then nil it. I mean, I feel like if you play Madden, you should have some type of, understanding of what and what not to do. But all I know regarding this game is my mom texted me, asked me if Western won. I said no. And she said, well, that means you and Matt have to go to class on Tuesday. And so thank you, Western football, for letting me get a day off.
Yeah, I was a little excited, as I'm sure if you listened last week, you know me and Darius could have had our Tuesday class canceled. If Western somehow pulled the miraculous, did a little Appalachian State or Arkansas State from a few years ago and beat Wisconsin, but it was just not meant to be. The offense couldn't get rolling. Trenton Norville had a rough game, one of the worst games I think I've seen him play, which is to be expected, seeing as he's not used to going up against Big Ten caliber offenses. And I believe that was Kyle Hammonds who kind of messed up that opening kickoff for us. He fumbled the ball, took a step out of the end zone, and stepped back in. So just a tough start from the beginning. Didn't even click off the clock before Western was down 2-0. But guys, I think it's going to get a little bit better for us this week. We play host to Drake. It's a home game on Hanson Field tomorrow afternoon. Drake scored a rushing touchdown in the first overtime to secure a 13-7 win over Truman State last weekend. It sounds like they have a good running game. I've not seen them play before, just kind of reading the media reports on their website for a little pregame analysis for tomorrow. But they have a stout defense and a solid running game. What do you guys think Western will have to take advantage of to get the W tomorrow?
I actually think Western has the advantage due to the fact that they've played a higher level of competition. I think even though they lost to Wisconsin, like we said the first half, they were able to hang around. And I think that's going to work for their advantage. Drake, I looked at who they played. They were 1-1 as well. And they haven't really played anybody recognizable on their schedule. So I think that Western is actually going to come out, on a win, with the win for this one, which would be big for the school because it is the 1,000th game in Western's, wonderful football history. Insert sarcasm. And Yeah, so I think that Western has the advantage if they play, how they did versus Valpo. I don't know exactly how Valpo compares to Drake, but I think that
I think Drake is a bit higher of a competition
Really?
level than Valpo was. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, hopefully they should be able to get the win at home.
Maybe. I mean, if they are a higher competition than Valpo, then maybe a good game. I would just go back to the Valpo. Just throw away the game plan you had against Wisconsin because you're not going to see that again until you face North Dakota State again.
Yeah.
So, and Northwestern the next week. But I guess just do Valpo's game plan. Truman State, I don't even think they're FCS.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like a Division II or Division III. So maybe Drake had a little bit of trouble with not even an FCS team.
Exactly.
Because I think Truman State's down in the St. Louis area. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where Truman.
The name
State
sounds
is located.
familiar, but if they are in the FCS, then it surprises me. So, like I said, go back. Norvell should have a good game. Get it on the running, help with the running, get with the passing, and then it should be easy. To me, I'm going to say at least a 10-point win for Western.
Yeah, I think coming home helps the Leathernecks out a lot, and I think you'll see Norville settle down. Still a young quarterback, only in his second year here at Western. And I think the guy's got a lot of potential for a Western Illinois quarterback. And I think definitely playing at home, we'll see a better Trenton Norville than we saw. And for the team, I think I said before week 1 when we had our first show that the key to Western's success isn't necessarily a running game. You know it's going to be there with Baker. But Norville, if he can give us that secondary option, that secondary scoring, if you will, being an effective college quarterback, that's going to what's going to take our team far and get us some wins. So I think we see a confident Trenton Norville. He takes the experience of playing a nationally ranked FBS team from last week, and I think it's a good point for a young quarterback in his career to go through a game like that. So I think I'm also going to go with the Western win. I got we'll do a 12-point victory for Western. I like your 10-point pick. I don't want to copy you, so we'll go 12 points for me. I got Western winning tomorrow, and my mother will be here tomorrow, so she will be able to see a Western win. I think.
It's family weekend?
I think it is family weekend, yeah. All I know is she's coming down, she's going to buy me food, and I'm going to be happy and full.
I thought you were going to say your mom was going to bring some cupcakes that Darius can eat while she comes down here.
I think she's listening, so Mom, if you are listening, Darius requests cupcakes. All my friends back home say she makes the best chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, then you could just go with that. You don't have to do nothing special for me, Miss Langman. If I trust that Matt's friends are accurate on this. I want to try.
Well, Mark,
give me the pleasure.
You know Mark now, and
yes.
Mark is obsessed with the chocolate chip cookies.
I'll go with Mark's judgment. I'll take some chocolate chip cookies.
All right, so Darius, what's your prediction for the score?
Oh yeah, I got Western winning. Y'all be trying to maybe go with these numbers and everything. I mean, I don't know nothing about all that. Ryan, you said 10. Matt, you said 12.
12, yeah.
Okay, 11. Look at that.
All right, so we're right in between. We'll have to get Adam.
I thought he was going to pull up Price is Right and go like 13 and
7. Yeah, I should have, because 13 is my favorite number, but I don't want to do that right now.
Well, if you are listening and just joining us, we will have Adam Feiner, I believe, later on the show to give us some Western baseball insight, currently at baseball practice. And so when he shows up, we'll get his picks for everything, including Western football. If he goes, what do we got, 10, 11, 12?
Yeah.
So he needs to be 13 or 9. So we can't say anything. It just has to work out. That will be the true test of, what do we call it, C4 concurrence?
I need his C4 Sports allegiance. Yeah. That's what we need.
Yeah. So that'll be the test. I think moving on, that's about all that I think really needs to be said about Western football this weekend until Adam gets in the booth. We have a big SEC matchup. We have 6 Georgia versus 24 South Carolina. Of course, South Carolina coming off that tough Week 1 loss to Kenny Trill, I believe is what he wants to be called.
Oh, yeah.
Not Kenny Football. He wants to be Kenny Trill from Texas A&M.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe his parents trademarked that this week.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not an NCAA violation?
Yeah, where does Trill come from?
It's supposed to be, what, like real?
I'm about to say, Trill is just keeping it real in the streets. Yeah. In those streets, son. Come on now. Word up, B. Word is bond.
Are you serious? Or
yeah, I'm dead serious. Yeah.
That's Darius's English lesson.
There you go.
Hey, you taught us words like every show last
year.
You need to bring that back.
Exactly. We're bringing that back. School is going. That's what it's all about.
We learned about his contact list on
we did.
Yeah.
Well, he also taught us vocabulary words last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
we
remember?
did. I
What
forgot.
was the one? There was one big one last
I
year.
don't
forgot what it
remember.
was.
I might have to go through the archives,
Yeah.
and go through my illustrious, vocabulary. Now I'm going like Stephen A. Smith, just using big words. Hopefully they fit in the proper context.
I mean, if you do like the show, which we are assuming that you do, because we are the best sports talk show here in Macomb. Of course, you can search for C4 Sports on YouTube, I believe, right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Or y'all could just personally get on my Twitter, which I already mentioned, and y'all can just ask me what the link is, and I can just help y'all out if y'all want to do all that work. If you want to do all that work, then hey, more power to you. I don't know why you would, but okay.
But back to the game. We have, of course, South Carolina and Georgia. I think heading into this game, Georgia is a heavy favorite.
Mm-hmm.
They look impressive to start the season in a very impressive SEC conference. And how about South Carolina? I believe that was the worst home loss for Steve Spurrier coach team since he's been at South Carolina. What do you guys take from that? Because I thought South Carolina was going to win that game against a Johnny Manziel-less Texas A&M, but boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, I guess Johnny football still has a little say in what goes on with Texas A&M. I was shocked too. I thought it was going to be a close game, an awesome game, and I switched off of it because it was the first game of the SEC network, and
For ESPN.
I mean, what a great matchup to start off with, but it wasn't much, and I switched it and watched baseball. It was very depressing, but Georgia was impressing that first weekend against Clemson. Buddy that worked for the university is a Clemson alum, and I went and picked up my tickets for the game and asked him about that game. He says no comment at all because he was not happy with it. But Georgia's defense, I mean, it's just a normal SEC defense, powerful, fast. I have Georgia winning handily. I'm going to go another 10-point win.
Wow, okay.
Okay, just a rule of tens today, huh?
Yeah.
I also have Georgia winning. I mean, historically, around the last, I believe, 9 to 10 games, they've struggled in South Carolina. But a big stat for me is South Carolina in the last 2 games has given up 832 passing yards already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they played Eastern Carolina and then Texas A&M, as we said. So I don't think that's 2 teams that you're supposed to be giving a lot of passing yards.
Do you think it's fair with
up.
them missing Clowney now, his pass rushing ability?
No, because you knew it was coming.
Yeah, that's true.
If it was last year and if Clowney left the year before coming back, I could see that because you already had your recruits, but you knew this is coming. He was going to be gone. You needed to fill that hole, and
Well, at the same time, it's hard to replace a guy who has #1 overall pick talent. But still, 832 yards is a lot. I mean, no matter who is really on your team. So just because of that, I also have Georgia winning. And now I'm gonna say by 13 points. So now we're gonna put the pressure on you, man, on what type of numbers you want to give now. Yeah.
I already knew what number I was gonna go.
Hey, well,
with.
forget that, okay? You're supposed to tell the listeners that you don't, and we're supposed to make this suspenseful. All right?
I mean, no, I'm not telling. I'm gonna tell them yet. I'm gonna save that for the very end. But I hope I already knew what number I'm gonna go with, and it's gonna work out very nicely. Because I think Georgia's offense is just too much for this struggling South Carolina defense to handle. They might not be Texas A&M's offense in that high-powered spread they kind of like to run at College Station. But I think it's not – I don't want to say it's a blowout, really. But I think it's not quite as competitive as the score I'm going to choose as what it takes. You like how I'm building suspense here?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm glad. Oh, and I got a text from my mother. She said – what did she say? Hold on. I'm going to continue to build suspense here.
Good like that.
I mean, because you wanted me to, Darius. She said next time she comes, she will make chocolate chip cookies for you. So I don't think you're going to get
That means not this time. That's all I hear. It means not this time.
Okay.
All I heard was no, okay? When I heard next time, my ears just closed out the rest of it. It's okay, though.
But she said it in the polite mother way.
She did.
Yeah.
But I know what that means. I'm able to read between the lines, okay? Because tomorrow was not promised, so we don't know what next time means.
I have nothing to say to that, so you can take that as you will. But I guess back to football, which I apologize, it was my fault for getting off topic. I'll take the blame for that one. But I will go with Georgia, and I had this number the whole time, Georgia by 14.
Oh, so he pulled the prices right.
Yeah, he did pull it.
Okay.
I had that the whole time. Don't try and pull it on me.
All right.
I can't believe you're going 2 touchdowns. I don't think.
I think it's going to be even less competitive as that score. I think Georgia completely outplays them. 'Cause I don't believe in South Carolina. They don't even have an offense, really, that's going to be
Did you
consistent.
see another blowout?
I mean, not a blowout. I don't really think 14 is much of a blowout, but I think South Carolina can cut the deficit late. All I see is if they're able to force turnovers against Georgia's offense. That's really the only chance they have. If they can control the field position and their defense can force turnovers, which obviously this far in the season it's proven that it cannot so far. But anything else from the college football season that has stuck out so far for you guys? Any specific players? How about Oregon and Michigan State? That was a big game. The one I don't really want to talk about was Notre Dame and Michigan. Yeah, I told you. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but
I didn't either. I thought they're going to put on a good showing to end this rivalry. I guess they could bring it back if they want to, but
Devin Gardner's overrated. As a Michigan fan, I've said it for a long time that Gardner's an overrated quarterback. He's an athlete trying to play quarterback, and it showed in that game.
Yeah, I was Big Ten. I guess the big surprising is Big Ten.
Yeah.
I don't. I'll have to look at my sheet. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna just. I don't have a Big Ten team in the Final Four, and after the first 2 weeks, it has shown.
Yeah.
When it comes time to play other power conferences, they stink. They do. They just. I mean, you saw it against even Ohio State.
Yeah,
I was cheering for Virginia Tech so much in that game. Just the hatred for Ohio State and Urban Meyer. It was very satisfying, and as a Big Ten. As being a Illini fan, you want to see a non-conference Big Ten help because it's good. But Big Ten, I guess I would put them down as maybe the 5th ranked.
Really?
I mean, when you're facing power conferences, an ACC team has a win over a Big Ten team, so you got to put them in front of them.
Yeah.
So it's very depressing.
Well,
to
who
see.
would you put in front of them? Obviously, the SEC.
I have
Pac-12.
SEC. Big 12, I mean, you have Oklahoma up there. They haven't played much. Let's see. The ACC, I would probably put 3. They're
really ahead of the Pac-12.
Right now, all I see is USC.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford is still there, but when you have Florida State right there and Louisville's on their way up, I believe. And who's the 4th?
What, Pac-12?
Pac-12, I'd say Big Ten and Pac-12 were battling the 4th, 5th position.
Okay. Yeah, it stood out to me that you already mentioned the Ohio State game, how Virginia Tech, from what I heard, basically controlled that whole game. And I mean, I know Ohio State is missing Braxton Miller, but still, in college, you also have players who have capabilities, under, the starters on the depth chart. So, I mean, I guess that stood out a little bit. But besides that, I think everything is basically going, basically how it's planned so far to me.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, obviously, we live in the Midwest. We live in the heart of Big Ten country. And my whole life, I've just listened to people say how the Big Ten doesn't get enough credit, how it's the most underrated conference. You have guys like, I know Mike Wilbon pushes the Big Ten, obviously a Chicago guy.
And he's pushing Northwestern.
Well,
I mean, somebody needs to push Northwestern.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I believe that is his alma mater, but he's always been kind of the Big Ten guy. I know Kornheiser liked to give him a hard time about the Big Ten, but it's kind of like I don't think the Big Ten's really ever proven anything in the modern decade of college football. Go back even 10 years. I think the Big Ten has kind of been. I don't want to say all talk. That's a little harsh, but it doesn't deserve to be in obviously the same sentence as the SEC or I think even the Pac-12. Or you can make the case, I guess, for the Big 12. I think they've had more BCS Bowl success than the Big 10 has. I'd have to look at the numbers on that, but just going off the top of my head, and of course.
You can go off of Vince Young winning
against
USC. I mean, the last time we saw Big 10 in the big game.
Was it Florida and
Florida versus Ohio State?
Yeah.
And Tim Tebow just said, goodbye.
And that's back when I was an Ohio State fan, and I remember the year before that, they lost to LSU in the title game. Yeah. And that was upsetting for me. I released myself from that program, but I mean, still, that was a hard time for me.
You transferred?
No, I mean, after Terrell Pryor and them beat Oregon, that was the end for me. Yeah. After we won, I felt like I could, I was done with it. I was getting older. They was, had a whole bunch of foolishness going on over there. So me and Ohio State just kind of
You
separated.
cut ties.
Yeah.
It was a mutual
Yeah,
party.
it was. I mean, it was tough, but I mean, it was okay. Everybody
Well,
left
who
on
do you
good
go for? Who
terms.
do you go to now?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Okay, now
You're
I'm just a
just a
free.
free-
Yeah, I just stopped liking college football after that. I was done with college, and then college basketball. I just watch, every now and then when the tournament gets started, then I
Yeah.
just go full force.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that a little
I
bit.
became more invested in my own dreams. Right, that's what happened.
To make the Western basketball team.
Exactly. And right now I have a hand injury, so we'll see what goes on
Yeah, you
with
got
that.
the ace bandage on.
Yeah. When my mom hears this, she's gonna text me and ask me why I didn't tell her that. But, I mean,
I'm sorry, that's my bad. I put you on the
no, it's
spot for
okay.
that.
I started it. I brought it up myself. I knew where I was going with this, but yeah. Oh well. You win some, you lose some.
That is very true. And so yeah, that's just kind of what's been interesting for me, especially obviously I was really into the Oregon-Michigan State game. A little bit of bragging rights on the line with my buddy Mark. Obviously, he goes to Michigan State, and I know he was very disappointed in the game, and it kind of sums up what everybody kind of said with Michigan State. We thought it was going to be a close game, which it was in the first half, and even into the third quarter, where Michigan State was controlling the game. Ryan, you tweeted at me.
Yeah, I was going like,
Yeah.
because you said
I
the
was
offense had
nervous,
to show
yeah.
up, and they did, and
Yeah.
that was like the big question mark, and I was going
Yeah.
like, wow, this might be a game, and then that second half was just.
I think it was the defense and the turnovers and the 3 and outs that they were able to get on Michigan State is what sparked the offense because it gave them some good field position, and eventually you just saw the speed, the pure speed that Oregon has, and why I feel good about this team for Oregon, why I think they will make the Final Four and probably the championship game, is they have the physicality. This was their game, their message game. You heard the announcers, if you did watch the game, talk about it. The entire broadcast about how this was a message game for Oregon, saying they can play with Stanford, who's beat them the last 2 years, and possibly an Alabama or an Auburn or an SEC powerhouse who likes to play the old school run and gun well, maybe not run and gun, but the I formation. We're going to pound it down your throat in the big physical type of game. And it proved they're a more physical version of Oregon. They still have the speed, but they'll punch right back if you're going to punch them in the mouth like teams have been able to do in the past. And that's why I think there's good things coming from this year. I also see Mariota having a Heisman caliber season, which he did. This, you could say, would be a Heisman moment for him against Michigan State, who was ranked 7th at the time, I believe. It was 3 versus 7, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was very happy with that second half. Ikpre Olumu had probably the play of the week for me with that diving interception on Cousins that he had after a deflected ball. And I think he played a heck of a game. He's probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive back in the country. And just as, I guess, an Oregon fan, it was very good. A very good performance from the Ducks. I was very nervous going in, very, very nervous at halftime. That tweet didn't help either, Ryan. But I think midway through the third quarter, the Ducks were able to turn it around. They forced some turnovers. The defense really stepped up and picked up the offense. There was, I think, a play. It was 3rd and long for Mariota, and it was in the middle. This is the play that switched the momentum. It was middle of the third quarter. They were down, I believe it was like 10 at the time, and Mariota looked like he was going to get sacked because he was under a lot of heat end of the second half, or end of the first half, early second half, and he got out of the sack, broke the pocket. Really the first time in the game he started to use his legs, and he did a little shovel pass to a receiver who picked up the long third down conversion, and from there Oregon just started rolling. And so that's why I like Mariota to win the Heisman and the Ducks to go far this season. But so yeah, I'm sorry, Ryan, that the Big Ten was struggling.
I know, and I should get used to it. I mean, when we're in conference, it's good games, but out of it, they just need to prove that they can play. Hopefully, and this is a long shot because I think Washington's favored by 13 points, but I would like to see Illinois, a garbage team last year. They finally got a pocket quarterback. I'd like to see them win. I mean, I'd love to see them win. If they win, they could shut up some of the doubters that I have more confidence. I pick with my heart, and you saw that with Green Bay picking them. But
I did.
Just to be single, if they lost by a touchdown or less, to me that's a win, especially when you're going up into Washington. But yeah, Big Ten needs to do something because they're garbage when it comes to non-conference teams.
Darius, final thoughts on college football before we head into this first break?
Let's see. Well, I agree that the Big Ten is basically garbage. As y'all, like I said, it's been a while since I really cared about college football, and they sucked out of conference then.
Was Ohio State your last true college team?
Yeah, and that ended when did Pioneer win? That's like 2010, right?
Yeah,
I think
so.
yeah. That was the year I graduated high school, and then as I got to college, I had to separate those things. But yeah, and they sucked out of conference then. So I see things really haven't changed, and hopefully it'll get better for them because, like you said, Matt, we are basically in Big Ten country.
Yep.
So I mean, for those Big Ten fans out there,
and it's only getting bigger with expansion.
Yeah, that's right. And they adding teams that aren't even in the Midwest. Maryland, yeah.
Yeah, Rutgers is in New York.
Rutgers actually gets pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully it gets better for those people who care about it.
All right, and of course, my observation was Oregon. I'm throwing up the O in the studio. Go Ducks. Obviously, I'll stick with the motto, you look good, you feel good, you play good. So, yeah, this is going to take us into our first break. On the other side of the break, hopefully, Mr. Feiner will be joining us in the studio to talk some Western baseball and also get his input on some NFL talk because that's what's on the other side of this break immediately. We got Bears, Packers, and a whole lot more. You're listening to the best in sports talk right here in Macomb on 88.3 The Dog. This is C4 Sports.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing, it really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Today, you brushed your teeth. You skipped the floss. You combed your hair. You took the train. You did the crossword. You missed 22 across. You went to work. You had a meeting. You ate your lunch. You had another meeting. You wondered, how is anyone supposed to get any work done around here with so many meetings? You left the office. You took the train. You ate your dinner. You brushed your teeth. You did all the things that one normally does the day before a brutal EF5 tornado rips through town, leaving 30,000 people without power. You never know when the day before is the day before. Prepare for tomorrow at ready.gov/today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to C4 Sports right here on 88.3 The Dog. I said we had football talk coming up after this break, and we do, but we're going to do a little basketball first. Thanks to my cousin Anthony Calderon at ACPro9 tweeted at us, where will Rajon Rondo be traded to, I guess if he is traded, and is he the best point guard in the East? Darius, we'll go ahead and start with you because we know you are Mr. NBA right here on the show.
Yes, I appreciate that title. First of all, let's go with the second question. Is he the best point guard in the East? This is a simple answer. Heck no. Okay, now, on to other things.
Well, who is the best point guard then?
Well, I mean, if Rose is the Rose we know, then it's Rose. If it's not Rose, then, I mean, I had to think for a minute. I don't like Kyrie. But, see, I don't like Rondo either because Rondo is a selfish assist man to me. He doesn't make the hockey assist pass like point guards are supposed to. He'd rather hold the ball and build up his own stats. Is he the best point guard in the East if Rose is not healthy? If you want to say that, because I can't really think of anybody else right now, sure. But overall in the NBA, that would still put him at like number 6 to me. So I really don't care. He's not a top 5 point guard in the NBA, and that's more important than being in the East. So we'll just go back with heck no. Now, where will he be traded? I mean, there's been rumors all last year. Sacramento was interested. You know, the Knicks name is always going to be out there. I actually don't think he's going to get traded because this has been going on for a while. You know, rumors with him all the time. I think he's going to end up playing out his contract. I don't really know exactly how many years is left. While everybody else is answering this question, I'll go ahead and look that up. But I don't really think if it's less than 2 years on his deal, I don't think he's going to end up getting traded. He'll probably just end up playing them out.
I guess the only way I could see him getting traded is if they get some draft picks. But I don't know how high caliber draft pick you're going to get with Rajon Rondo. And it seems like Rajon Rondo's become the new Gasol. Like a trade every week.
Just a trade bait kind
Yeah.
of guy?
Yeah, and nothing happens until the off season, I guess. I don't even think Gasol was really traded, was he? He just
No,
he signed.
signed with the
Yeah.
Bulls.
he just
Signed
signed. Yeah,
outright.
so I don't see him being traded. I see him playing out his contract because they're going to have somebody to, I guess, deal out the ball or take shots up in Boston for a little bit of a fan base until they decide what they're going to do up there. Best point guard? No. I'd probably still say Rose, like you're saying. I can't think of any. You said Kyrie. I really don't pay attention to Cleveland. So, I mean, I guess no. I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, at least six out of the top five with the NBA as a whole. Because I mean,
I think it just goes back to the East is so much worse than the West.
Yeah, it is.
All the talent really
when
is
you
in the
don't
West.
when you don't know point guards, I mean, I can name a couple more on the West than I could.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you guys. There's no way he's the best point guard in the East, especially if Derrick Rose is healthy. I think I'd still take Kyrie Irving over Rajon Rondo. Honestly, I think he brings more to the table than Rondo
Yeah, I
does.
probably would too.
Rondo I think he's overrated. I know, Bubs. I know you know how I feel about Rondo, one of my least favorite players in the NBA from his attitude alone. But I think he's a pretty overrated player. I know he's in a bad situation, but I like the point you made, Darius, is that he's a selfish assist man. Is he doesn't necessarily make the right pass. He likes to make the flashy type of pass, which, it looks nice on the highlight reel. But I think his basketball intelligence is a little bit overrated in that term. And the guy can't score consistently. He has absolutely no jump shot. He's a good defender, a very good defender. Not great, but yeah, I just think he doesn't bring enough to the table offensively. Where you look at a guy like Kyrie Irving, or if you want to go out west, obviously he's not even close to the caliber of a Chris Paul or a Russell Westbrook or something like that. I would definitely take those guys over Rondo in a heartbeat. And I think maybe the reason you can put him right now as possibly the best point guard in the East is solely because of Derrick Rose's injury and the fact all the talent is out west. And I don't see him being traded either. I think he sticks it out in Boston. Maybe he signs somewhere else, but I think they're going to try and bring in talent around him because he's still got a lot of years left as an elite point guard. So I don't see why Boston would let him go, especially for nothing if he does play out his contract and sign somewhere else. I think that's a bad move for Boston in general after giving away a lot of their talent a year ago, especially to Brooklyn. Yes, they were aging, but I think they might have been able to get some more than they did for that talent. I think they kind of just gave them away in a sense.
Yeah, this is actually Rondo's last year.
This is last year?
Yeah, this is last year on his contract. So, I mean, of course, teams are interested in, free agent contracts, expiring deals. But I think with the type of attitude he has and the type of player he is, I don't think this is a regular type of expiring contract. I think he brings a lot on the table with him. So it would be better for him to play out the season and then end up going somewhere else.
Yeah. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, if this was the MLB, I'd say he would be traded before the deadline, of the year. But since it's not, and you can just pick up in the MLB like it's nothing. But in the NBA, there's teamwork, and you have to know everybody's moves and all that stuff. So, like I said, I don't see him traded unless it's right before the season starts or early on. That's it. If it's, I say within the first month, if he's not traded, then he's staying with the team.
Yeah, I don't really see him getting traded at all. I think he's going to re-sign with Boston personally. I know he likes it in Boston. I don't really think he wants to leave, even though they're struggling.
Could this just be a ploy to try to say, give me players?
It could be.
I guess, but historically, Boston never gets free agents, and that's not going to happen now. So unless they make some type of deal, but they don't really have any assets either, unless for some reason you like Marcus Smart a lot or James Young or something. You're trading for those guys, or like you said, draft picks, Ryan, something like that. But otherwise, I'm not really too sure, how else they could bring players around him.
Yeah, I guess that kind of answers your question, Bubs. Thanks for the tweet. We'll try and get you something this year, if we can. I was finally able to get myself a shirt before the show.
Free plug.
I'm all about the free plugs. So we'll do our best here at C4 Sports. We got to start pulling our name. We're the best in sports talk in Macomb. You'd think we'd get some respect with that.
You would.
Wow, we're sounding like the Big Ten right now.
I know, we
Okay.
are.
But we're actually winners. There's a difference, okay? We're actually good at what we do.
We won imaginary awards for
Exactly.
sports talk. So Darius, I know there's also something that you got some info on, is the Danny Ferry situation.
Yeah, absolutely. If for anybody out there listening that doesn't really know what's going on, I'll say about last week, the owner of the Hawks, Bruce Levinson, came out and it surprised everyone, said he was going to sell his team. And he had a whole email chain came out about how he was kind of saying how it's too many black fans basically at games and they're scaring away, the white fans and everything like that. And that's a quick paraphrase. I encourage you to read it instead of listening to how I say it, because I'm not doing it true justice. He did have some legit points in there, but at the same time it was like it wasn't Donald Sterling bad, but it wasn't good. A good thing for it to come out either. And then he said he was going to sell the team. But then after that, the GM of the Hawks, Danny Ferry, it was revealed that he ended up making some comments in a public conference call around team executives regarding Luol Deng this past summer when they were considering him as a free agent. And a quote that really stood out about Luol, he said, quote, "He has a lot of African in him, not in a bad way, but he's like a guy who would have a nice store out front but would sell you counterfeit stuff out the back." And that's the end of that quote. And he went on to say how Luol Deng is kind of two-faced in the locker room. When a story or when in the locker room around the players, he would talk about how he keep everything in the locker room, but then he could end up being that unnamed anonymous source and when the story comes out. And quite frankly, I don't know where he's getting this from. As far as I've ever heard about Luol Deng, he has good character, is well respected around the league, and he basically gave his life on the line for basketball, because remember he had that spinal tap around 2 years ago. And so I don't really know where that's coming from. Luol Deng came out and said that he has a lot of African in him, not a little, but he wasn't, of course, too pleased with the comments. But I just wanted to go ahead and really bring this up because today, Danny Ferry, people have been saying he should be fired. I personally believe he should be fired. But today, well, actually, no, let's back up a little bit. Before this, the CEO of the Hawks, Steve Koonin, said that Danny Ferry had been punished, but he didn't tell anybody what the punishment was. So we were waiting around. News comes out today that Danny Ferry gave himself an immediate leave of absence, which I still don't understand how you give yourself a leave of absence. And then Steve Koonin approved it. And Adam Silver, the commissioner of the league, said that Danny Ferry shouldn't be fired because what he was reading was a scouting report and it wasn't something he made himself. I don't know if y'all heard the tape. The tape came out yesterday with Danny Ferry actually reading it out loud on a conference call, and there were other people around him that were laughing, so clearly they just thought it was all funny. I don't know what's funny about that, but that's not really the point here. So what do y'all really feel about Danny Ferry? Should he be fired or not? I personally feel like he should, and I feel like y'all probably don't feel the same way. So, I mean, what y'all feel about it?
Fired? Yes. To me, what he said is a lot worse than what the owner said. To the owner, I want more context to see if that was a business email. I mean, to me, that's what, and I think Wilbon brought it up, because, it sounded like a business email with the owner.
Oh, yeah, it was, yeah.
Because, I don't know what goes on in Atlanta sports. I'm not down there. I don't know what their season ticket, how many people have season tickets, and if all that stuff. It seemed, like I said, it seemed more like a business, but I didn't hear the second part of that. Of the
Danny Ferry.
The Danny Ferry quote until you said it, and that just puts the icing on the cake of that. Okay, there's something more than this. To me, Ferry is between Sterling and, well, he's a little bit behind Sterling, but far from. I give, and you might disagree, Darius, but I give a little bit of pass to the owner of the Hawks.
Oh, yeah,
it was 2012, and I didn't see anything too bad with it. I thought it was more of a concern of trying to make money and try to make a product good for Atlanta. But yeah, he should be fired. And I think he's taken an absence, but I heard that him and the owner were buddies, and since he's on his way out, then he kind of knows that he's on his way out.
Oh yeah, he probably
because
will be
when a
too.
new owner comes in,
He wants his
that
own
your
guy.
buddies that you're going to be fired, and they're going to probably bring in a new GM
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So, yeah, to me, he should be fired.
I think just from this one incident, he shouldn't be fired. But I look at it like this: where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm sure this wasn't the first time he's done something like that. So if you dig deep enough, I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to find another incident. If there are repeat offenses, then yeah, he should definitely be gone. And I kind of agree anyway, he's probably on his way out anyway with the owner stepping down and selling the team. And I think it was actually Mike Wilbon, who you guys have already quoted for this story, who said on PTI when the story first broke in regards to the owner that Wilbon, I don't remember the exact words he said, but it was something along the lines of at least the owner of the Hawks had a point because ticket sales have been down every single year in Atlanta, so there's actual data to back up his claim, whether it's correct or not. Obviously, I mean, you can never prove that.
Yeah.
But, so I think at least he handled it the right way. He kind of admitted he messed up and stepped down from the team. He's going to sell the team even though he's going to make a lot of money. I heard right now the offer is probably like $600 million to $1 billion right now because the Clippers went for what, $2 billion?
Yeah. But he's not he's just doing his share, right?
His majority share.
Yeah, but he's a majority.
Oh, he's a majority.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why he's the owner, because he has a
Okay.
majority share. It's just like why Jordan's the owner of the Bobcats. He doesn't own all the shares, but he's the majority owner, so therefore
Okay.
he is the owner of the team.
I thought he was in with a group and they
No.
were all 50-50, but he was more the business. He was the on-hands person, and the other people like fronted money.
I'm pretty sure he's the
he's a majority.
owner.
And to go to Luol Deng, when he was a Bulls, he was probably when I still cheered.
Mhm.
When I cheer for NBA here and there, he was one of my favorite Bulls because he shot the ball great, and he played hard. And I never saw a mean bone in his body. I mean, he has he had a couple teams, yeah, but I mean, you can say that about a lot of people. But it seems like he's loved everywhere he goes. He was loved in Cleveland for a short time, and now he's going to be loved down in Miami because he's going to have to take some of the brunt of no LeBron down there.
Yeah.
But I don't know where the GM was getting that, and I don't even know how that can be part of a scouting report.
Exactly. that part doesn't make sense. But the real thing to me that I've heard that really just bothers me because it just stands out. Basically, it's stupid, and not calling you stupid, man, not at all. But the statement itself that I've seen a lot of people say this, that he shouldn't be fired because this is a one-time thing. That's stupid to me because at this point right now, I'm 22 years old, right? I have never committed like a real crime in my life. But if I stab one of y'all, I'm going to go to jail. I can't tell the judge, oh, don't put me to jail because this is my first time stabbing anybody. I don't have a history of this. It doesn't matter whether or not he has a history. If you do something stupid enough the first time, you should lose your job. I agree with you, Ryan, that the owner himself, I don't agree that he should have to sell the team. I don't think that was that big to sell the team. I think maybe an apology is fine enough for that.
You haven't heard a huge uproar about
Yeah,
it.
and he
There's
said,
more on the GM.
and the stuff that he said, like I said, he made some good points. He didn't say it necessarily correctly, and he made some stuff in there talking about how a lot of black people are there, and some of them, it's not a lot of father and sons, it's a fatherless thing, and that I really didn't like that part too much. But for the most part, he was just kind of ignorant, but I wouldn't say that's like a racist statement. I mean, everybody has some type of ignorance in them, even me. I've said stupid stuff on this air before. I said something stupid last week to something about college football. But I mean, so I probably done said something stupid today too. Who knows? But I mean, everybody makes a mistake, and I'm not trying to make it seem like Denny Ferry, mistake is bigger than everybody's. But I feel like it's a certain level of mistakes that should be punished depending on the position that you're on. And for him to make a statement like that, and then they basically acting like it's fine. I haven't heard him make an apology. Now all of a sudden he's taking a leave of absence, but we still haven't heard a statement from him. Supposedly he called Luol Deng agent. Well, it doesn't really mean nothing now. It's too late. You already made the statement. How about you don't say it in the first place? So that really to me just stood out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't really know why that would be on a
But still, what does that even mean? He has a lot of African in him. Does that help your post game, or like does your jumper get better?
Maybe his jumping and I don't know.
Who knows?
I really don't know. Apparently, he said it has something to do with the store. You sell fake
Yeah,
things in the
right.
store.
And the counterfeit stuff out the back, I didn't know if that had something to do with like missing layups or something. I didn't know what the counterfeit part had to do with anything.
I don't know.
Like I said, don't know how you can.
All I know is if a lot of African is what helps you get to the NBA, somebody inject me with some more. Then maybe I need some more so I can get there. That's what it takes. I don't know what that means.
I mean, Allen Iverson is retired now, so you can take some of his, I guess.
like some bone marrow or something.
That's your boy. You'd be like, Allen, I could be the reincarnation of you.
Exactly. Just give me some of his hair power. We just transfer it
his
over.
Braids?
Yeah, just transfer it. If I get his hairstylist, that's the key that I'm missing right now. That's all it is.
And you need his sleeve. Get the sleeve. And
I can't do the sleeve all the way. I can't copy everything. I gotta be the left hand wonder that I truly am. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I respect that. I respect that. But yeah. So I was confused when I saw this by everything. I just didn't think there was a place really for either of them, and it's a little troubling that this is coming up a lot now, especially in the NBA front office, where it is predominantly black athletes who are in the NBA, and that's a little worrisome. Obviously, an emphasis on the sarcastic little, but it's kind of like, what do you expect if you're an owner of these teams? Like, if you have those feelings, then why own an NBA team is my question to you, I guess. So, what do you guys, is there any step Adam Silver and the NBA can take to try and prevent this or change attitudes if more people feel like this in NBA front offices?
I don't think it can necessarily be prevented. There are going to be white people who have negative things to say about black people. It's going to be black people that have negative things to say about white people, and a lot of it really will make no sense. Yeah. So, I mean, it just happens that some of those, the white people are just in a position of power, but I don't think you can really prevent that, because just as much as there are people who are saying negative things about players, I'm sure there are white owners in the NBA that, don't say stuff like that. So I don't think you can prevent it. Adam Silver, I felt like should have said Ferry should be fired. Yeah. But I mean, besides that, I don't really think it's nothing really he can prevent. That's something that goes on with the individual.
It's not like what the NFL has a problem with right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's people's opinions, and some are in business sense, some are just stupidity. Yeah. And if you're gonna try to do something like this, then why don't you? I mean, if people are gonna have to force to step out, then why can't players be held accountable for the same thing with the whole what Paul George said? He's not gonna be held accountable. Do you see him being fined? Do you see him being anything? I mean, he's out for the year anyway, but you're not gonna see anything like that. And he made a comment probably just as bad, but in a different aspect of a problem. So I don't see you can do anything. I don't say Adam Silver can say, hey, if this happens, you're going to be fined this or that. It just can't happen. It's just going to be on a case by case. You're going to see what they say, what the context of it, and I think that's the big thing, is that we need to find what it was said in the context. Was it a business email that was sent to another owner and other things that a real concern to help boost up Atlanta or boost up a town's to get fans in there, or if it was just something stupid that just doesn't need to be part of the NBA or part of the United States culture. Oh
yeah, definitely. And Darius, I think you made a good point too about just stereotypes in general are always going to be there, because I remember a couple years ago when David Lee made the All-Star game, it was like 2011. He was the first white American to make the All-Star game since Mike Miller in 2002, and they ran a whole piece about white players in the NBA, and I think there was some anonymous GM who said that, we stray away from taking white guys because they traditionally are not athletic and can't play defense. So, I mean, you're always going to have stereotypes.
Yeah.
Europeans, the stereotype with them is what? They're soft.
Yeah.
They're not, they're not going to bang in the paint. All the big big guys are just going to sit outside and take jump shots. Right. White guys, all we're out there for, in college, they say, is to raise the GPA is the joke. And to shoot free throws and threes, and now we have obviously all the racism. Apparently black guys have African in them. That's a measurable thing now for basketball. So I think you're always going to have these stereotypes. It's just, I think, like Darius, I think you hit it right on the head. There's always going to be ignorance. Everybody's going to be at least a little bit ignorant. And I just think people need to be educated. It's just like you said, Ryan, the country needs to be educated, and normally when you see stuff like that, it's from uneducated people.
And it's changing. You're dealing with people that been around through the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
With the race riots and the marches and all that stuff, and where civil rights took a huge step. You still have people 20 years from now, it's probably going to be completely different, because you're going to have our generation coming up, and we're going to be. I think it'll be better. I think we're going to be. Different. It's not going to be completely different. There's going to be more of an understanding.
I'm not sure about that, and this is something that Bomani Jones has talked about a lot. I kind of agree with him on this, because we're talking about people who have been exposed. It's a lot of people, black and white, that have prejudices, that are speaking that stuff, and their kids are hearing it. And those kids are going to grow up. That's our generation that's feeling that's the same way. So I don't think it's necessarily going to get better. I don't think it's going to change at all, because it is really not. And then especially as we are in a social media age and everything is coming out, the difference right now is that stuff is just getting exposed more.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that basically we're hearing right now, if it's between Ray Rice, if it's between Danny Ferry, if it's between anything, this has been happening for a while now. It's just coming out more now because people is getting exposed with social media, and it's like every second there's some new type of news that's being broken. So I don't think it's going to get any better. I think this is the status quo, and that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, it's just made me really sad this past week, obviously with the Ray Rice thing, which we'll get to when we start the NFL talk in a few moments, but also obviously the racism now in the NBA. And really when it comes down to it, should be, is the guy a good teammate and a good person, number one, and can he play?
Yeah.
That's what's always liked me about sports. I have friends, all races, genders,
exactly,
ages, cultures, religious beliefs, and it's because I just look at it as the guy a good teammate, and can he play the game, whether it's football, basketball, whatever.
Right.
That's really all that should play. I remember as a kid when I first started to hear about these issues, it always confused me. I was like, why? He's a good guy, and he can play the game of basketball, so why does it matter what color he is or what religion he believes in? Yeah. And that's kind of why I've always loved sports, why I've always said there's nothing better than sports for, I guess you could say, the human soul, was because at the core, that's what it is. And that's why it really upsets me when you see people like this who kind of taint that image, and that's what I love to the core of me, and it's to the core of sports, is that's all that should really matter. So glad you brought up Ray Rice, because that can kind of segue us from the NBA in the middle of the off season to the NFL. Last night the Ravens were able to thwomp the Steelers. What was it?
26-6.
Yeah, 26-6.
It was over by halftime, I believe. Big Ben had a rough night, but obviously it was the Ravens' first game officially without Ray Rice as on the roster, even though he was suspended for the last game, but he was still on the roster.
Yeah.
And so we'll start out with your comments. I don't really think we touched on this too much last week because we didn't have the video.
Yeah, the tape hadn't came out.
The video.
Yeah, it was almost going to a non-story.
Yeah.
And so the other two were a bigger story than Ray Rice because his fate was already sealed. So.
Yeah, what do you think about this? Obviously, Roger Goodell now in a heap load of trouble after clearly trying to cover up that he did see the video and protect Ray Rice. Therefore, it sounds like he was protecting Ray Rice to protect, as he has said in his tenure as commissioner of the NFL, and I quote, to protect the shield, which if you don't know what that means, it means to protect the shield is the logo for the NFL. That means to not make the NFL look bad, I guess, is the generalization of that saying. Brian, we'll start with you. What do you take from this Ray Rice situation before we get into the actual aspect of what happened on the field last night?
I brought it up yesterday on Twitter. I said, it's like, what is going on in the NFL? And support for Ray Rice, I don't get it. To me, you don't lay hands on a female, and the video even makes it worse.
Yeah.
It contradicts everything Ray Rice said about the incident. And then you put Roger Goodell in there, and it goes like, and we were talking about it earlier, that why do you protect Ray Rice? If you saw the video, you can show in the right that he was wrong, and you could have brought the hammer down. And having an 8-game or a full year suspension, you could have brought that down, and people would have said, "Wow, that's real harsh." And then you would, because like we've seen the video, because like it deserves this.
Yeah.
But I don't know where you. It's just, it upsets me. It It upsets me. And then, I mean, people can comment on it and even get suspended on the whole Ray Rice. I was more upset with, I'm upset with that, but the 49ers radio guy, I brought up the story. He got suspended for 2 games. They have a player that got arrested shortly after Goodell, and this is all he said. He goes like about Robinson saying about Ray Rice's wife, Janae. How does she still marry him after that? How does she go in front of Goodell? And he says that's pathetic to me. And he gets suspended 2 games for his comments. And if we said something like that, I mean, you have the freedom to say something. To me, that's not bad. And this investigation needs to get done quick to see what happens. If there's anything, part of it, he needs to go bye-bye. But Goodell's done a lot of good things for the NFL. And that's what shocks me about this.
Well, for me, I feel like since this whole thing has taken place, there's been a lot of comments that have been said. Some have been that I agree with, and they've been, kind of looked down upon in the media. Like, I didn't have a problem with Stephen A. Smith got suspended. I didn't have a problem with what he said in the first place. Personally, my own policy is, if you put your hands on me, I don't care who it is, then you opening up fair opportunity for me to retaliate. Okay, so you put hands on me, then I'm gonna handle my business, and that's gonna be it. And I don't do nothing to lose. I'm always about victory. Okay, and you touch me, then that's it. Now, that doesn't really. I said that earlier on, I believe, when we talked about Ray Rice, when this all happened, I think in like February or something, which it's all irrelevant now because we seen the video, we seen that it looked like he provoked her, he spit on her, and then in the elevator, and he hits her, and her head hits. Yeah. Her head hits the pole, and then she's knocked out. And she could have, if you look at the head injury, she could have died really off of that. Yeah. So, I mean, this is real severe. But my real thing about this is this. This isn't even about Ray Rice right now. Ray Rice, the punishment he got, he deserves. So I'm not trying to act like...
Even after the fact?
Oh, yeah. Right.
You're okay with Roger Goodell coming in and going, canceling contract? Well...
I'm cool with him being released. I'm cool with him having an indefinite suspension. I'm cool with that. The problem I'm not cool with is how it was done. If this was the punishment they gave him in the first place, no problem. Because it's not like Ray Rice didn't do what he deserves what he got. So I'm not trying to. I don't want this to come off as if I'm being sympathetic towards Ray Rice. No, this is his fault. He did it. But the NFL is trying to play us like we some idiots. And I told y'all out there, I don't like anybody trying to play me like I don't have intelligence.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell, I don't care what he says. I don't care what nobody says. He saw this tape before he made that decision. He saw the tape, and he only gave Ray Rice 2 games. Why? Because he didn't think that we were going to see the tape. The reason Ray Rice got suspended indefinitely is because the public saw the tape. It don't have nothing to do with what happened in the actual elevator. From what I've read, Ray Rice actually told the Ravens and Roger Goodell what happened in the elevator. And then they saw the video, and they act like it's different than what he said.
Yeah, then he changed it, but he said in the beginning that she was drunk. And
was she by? Well, yeah. I didn't know about the film, but I told
she was drunk when the first cop showed up. Just she was drunk, she fell, hit her head.
I heard from what I read.
Conflicting stories, but I'm going tell the public. Don't tell Goodell, don't tell the owners. Tell us, because we have our own opinions too, and we need to know.
From what I read, he actually told Goodell and he told the Ravens what actually was going on.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
Yeah, so I don't know nothing about that, but I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had more to go. Ray Rice, this is not really about him. The Ravens also tried to play us when they had Janae come out and apologize for her role in this, because don't think that Roger Goodell saw the video and then the Ravens didn't know what was going on. Okay, that anybody that believes that, then Lord help your life, because clearly you don't have a full sense of intelligence to stay alive every day.
Yeah, I think I agree. I've never really liked Roger Goodell as a person.
Me either. I don't like his tenure. I haven't liked his tenure.
I mean, I don't mind the decisions he made. I actually kind of respect the tough stance he has on players, because it's I don't like the stuff he's done with the on-the-field rule changes necessarily. I think it's kind of getting away from football, and it's the NFL, the no-fun league. Like, why is it illegal to dunk the ball on the goalpost? Why? Why is that illegal? But with the suspensions and stuff like that and the Bounty Gate, I personally didn't have – I thought it was – well, maybe Bounty Gate was a little harsh, but with even Josh Gordon, the marijuana policy – I'm fine with all of that. I like the hard stance he's had on people. Then this doesn't add up. Then he doesn't take a hard stance on Ray Rice. And even the video that was released beforehand, that should have been enough. He's dragging his fiancee unconscious body out of an elevator. You shouldn't need to see this second video to be like, oh, no, this is bad. It's like, what do you think happened?
Yeah,
and Ray Rice, like you said, Darius, he admitted to it. Like, there are reports now saying he told Goodell, yes, I hit her. She fell and was unconscious. Like, you're only going to get 2 games. And Gordon, I agree with Gordon's suspension for the marijuana. It's like, come on, dude, stop smoking weed. Like, it's your 3rd time. Like, let's use your brain here. But he gets a year for marijuana, even though it is his 3rd time. And Ray Rice gets 2 games. 2 games for this. It doesn't add up to me. It just doesn't add up.
Is that they say gives him 2 games. But then right afterwards goes like the new punishment is going to be 6 games for the first.
He's trying
one.
to cover his own
and
butt.
If you have prior acts in high school or college, it can make you have higher than the first one. So I'm going like, then why not just give him 6 games and think?
I think
because Roger Goodell is an idiot as a leader. That's why.
Yeah.
First of all, as a leader, you were supposed to be able to stand there for the good times, and then when the bad times come, as a leader, you were supposed to come out as soon as possible and make statements. You saw. Even with Josh Gordon, how long did it take for Goodell to give him that year suspension? It was a while before he even came up with a punishment. Anytime something bad happens in the league, you can't find Goodell for a while. He's just invisible.
Yeah.
Anytime it's a good thing. When it's the Super Bowl, I don't see it a week later until Goodell hands them the trophy. He's right there. When they are honoring, military veterans, Goodell is right there. But when stuff like this happens, he's nowhere to be found. And this is a mockery. All of us in here are males, but this is even a mockery more so to females. Females are 40% of the NFL's fan base. And you telling me y'all don't even value your forget if you don't respect women, which is our own ignorance in itself. But you don't even respect your own fans. You're talking about protecting the shield. Without the fans, you're nothing. You don't respect basically half your fans. You don't give a real policy to protect them. What is Roger Goodell doing?
And they've had a problem with this before. I know Brandon Marshall, before he came to Chicago, punched a stripper. And didn't hear much from that. We've heard other domestic violence policies. There's a guy on the the Cowboys, I think, not the same thing, but isn't he coming back to the team?
Yeah, Josh Brantford killing his friend in DUI. Yep.
So I've lost a lot of respect. I've never really liked Goodell, but I've kind of had some respect for him because I like his harsh stance on things. But really, this past year, I've started to lose, and this kind of sums it up for me. I've lost a lot of respect for Goodell because there should be no tolerance for what Ray Rice has done.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Adam Feiner is now in the studio, our Western Illinois baseball insider. So I think when we're done with the Steelers Ravens talk, we'll take a quick break and let Adam get us caught up on Western baseball, but jump right in, Adam. Obviously, Ray Rice talk right now.
Yeah, I could kind of tell from your guys' discussion. From what I've been hearing with you guys talking, and I've watched a lot of TV on it. I mean, you flip on a sports channel, it's right there, and they're not hiding it. There is no room in the league for domestic violence, and it's sad that the leaders are taking so long.
Yeah.
And these women groups are actually pushing the NFL
Yep.
towards saying 0 tolerance. You hit a woman, you're out for a year, and that's the league. You hit a woman, you're out of the league. I just think that the NFL has gotten so big that it's become almost beyond the legal system in this country.
I know.
And that's unbelievable.
They're saying now that the NFL is charging people to perform at the halftime of the Super Bowl. They're not paying the performers.
Yeah, that's what they've been trying to get them to pay.
That's a very good point, Adam.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, and they're not dumb because they just captivate an audience by their game, and they use that to their advantage. They kind of brainwash us into saying, well, 2 games for hitting a woman, that's fine, as long as he's back, as long as he's on my fantasy roster and getting paid. That's why I think the money was the case. The fans come to see Ray Rice play.
Yeah.
Because he's a good player. And I think that that was the case in the 2 games, but knowing what we know now with Goodell seeing the tape and the NFL reviewing it back in June or the summer sometime.
Yeah.
That's a problem. I mean, the NFL's got an identity crisis, and we talked about it last year.
Oh,
Yeah, we did. Compared to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably surpassed the NBA. I think.
Without a question, Yeah, like I said, I've always had some sort of respect for Goodell. I've never really liked him, but I have lost a lot of respect for him, especially not just this incident. This is the one that kind of broke the camel's back for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily want him out, but it's getting. I know Darius does, but it's getting very, very close to that point for me. It's kind of like there's no reason for this. Like what Rice did was.
Can't the owners do a vote?
The owners are apparently behind him because he's always been a guy for. He's always been the owners' commissioner. That's why the players don't like him because he's always taking the owners' side over the players, and the owners are kind of supporting him right now. But,
and they will because they're making money.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. They're getting money. Nobody's going to change what they're doing.
Yeah, it's just this is arguably the most like ridiculous thing I've seen from a commissioner. I know Gary Bettman probably gets the most slack, the hockey commissioner. People make the joke when the NHL game comes out and you win a Stanley Cup in your dynasty. If they want it to be realistic, they should put all the booing in when Bettman comes out to hand out the Stanley Cup. But yeah, this definitely takes the cake for me because Bettman gets heat for moving teams out of Canada and down to Florida and Texas, and Ray Rice punches a woman. So wow,
right
that's all I gotta say right now.
Not even comparable.
Yeah, it's just wow. That's a lot of respect has been lost for the NFL and one which I do think has a major image issue right now. They have to get their athletes in control and make sure these guys know they're not above the law or above anybody else. And I just think, like you said, it's a culture thing. They have to change the culture in football right now because that just punching a woman for just no reason, not laying your hands on a woman, especially if you're a big NFL player, you're not a tough guy. I don't think you're a man at all if you do that. But yeah, speaking of the men who actually play, because I think that's I think we all got our thoughts out there for Ray Rice. I mean, just watch ESPN. That's all they've been talking about for the past week. But there was a game played last night, and it was a big Ravens victory. Adam, we'll start with you. I don't know if you watched the game last night, but what are your thoughts from what you saw on the field with a conclusive Ravens victory, which was my personal favorite part, was the pregame when my boy T. Sizzle Terrell Suggs ran out onto the field with a gladiator helmet on his head.
You can always expect something from me.
Also Hard University.
No, he had a shirt on with the Mike Tomlin tripping Jacoby Jones from the year before, and it said, "We will never forget." And a reporter asked him where he got it, and his response was, and I quote, "I took a pilgrimage over the offseason to Hogwarts and So Hard University, and this is what I came back with." Was that T-shirt?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We talking the NBA about performers?
Yeah.
He's one of the NFL's performers.
He is that guy.
And that's good for the game. And it's good for the Ravens that they're kind of, the focus was turned on him a little more. The focus was more on the game than the situation going on. I watched the game. I think I have two main thoughts, and that the great days of Pittsburgh's defense being vaunted with those linebackers when they played the 3-4 with Larry Foote, James Harrison in there, those are gone. I mean, that's a soft defense. And they were, when Baltimore got big plays, wide open. I mean, it wasn't close, just barely missing a deflected ball or something. It was wide open. I mean, the running lanes were amazing. I play fantasy now this year, and I know why people picked up Justin Forsett and Bernard Pierce this week. And two, this was later in the game, second half. The two flags on one on Troy Polamalu for a hit over the middle, and one on Mike Mitchell, who came over in free agency from Carolina. I don't know. It's every big hit is going to be flagged. It doesn't matter where you hit him. If it's above the waist, it's going to be a flag, and I just think that's ridiculous. I get that you're trying to protect the head, but the players aren't even getting hit in the head.
Yeah, Roethlisberger's hit in the first quarter.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Was,
Courtney Upshaw. I like that hit personally.
It was a good hit, but you got to protect that quarterback because he's the franchise.
Oh yeah.
I got to see the first. Basically, by what the score says, that first drive kind of summed up the Steelers. Had it for over 8 minutes and then fumble and don't even get a score out of it.
Yeah. Well, before I make my comments, my cousin Darnell, who is a Steelers fan, told me don't talk any trash about his team on the radio. And so me being the militant individual I am, I'm going to talk trash just because he told me not to do it. Ha ha, y'all suck for this week. But when I watch Baltimore, it's really what you said, Adam. You made basically all the points. The defense, Pittsburgh had that defense, Dick LeBeau being the coordinator for a while. They've always been good, and this year is really a struggle. they actually ran the ball pretty decent yesterday, but despite that, I wasn't really impressed with the running game. I think it got started more so in the second half. It started progressing. I mean, they started in the first, but I like what Steve Smith did. 6 catches, 71 yards, and every time it looked like Flacco threw the ball, it's like you said, Adam, his receivers were open. It seemed like every time. And so I don't know what's going on with Pittsburgh. Might be another down year for them. Maybe Tomlin's job might be on the line. I know some people.
I think it should be.
Some people were talking about firing him last year. So I mean, he's done some good things there, but after the time a relationship does wear out. I mean, that's just natural in sports, especially. So I don't know. Baltimore, they did what they had to do yesterday. I still don't have them winning the division like you do, Ryan. I still think Cincinnati is winning that division, but I think Pittsburgh.
I have Ravens.
Oh yeah. You have Baltimore.
I have Steelers.
Right.
Coming in with
right.
wild
I had
card.
Cincinnati winning the division. My fault. I still have Cincinnati winning, but I don't know. I think that Pittsburgh is really just going to be suffering, again this year, just off what we've seen. And then if you add that to how they let Cleveland come back against them in Week 1, that was really a big story for me. Even though they came out with the W, that second half versus Cleveland was not good at all. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a struggle year for them.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the way the Ravens played. Their offense needed to come out and have a good game, and that's what they did. I told both of you two before the game, shout out to Naperville, Mr. Owen Daniels, with the 2 touchdown catches from Joe Flacco. I'm giving Naperville a shout out whenever we can. We stick together in the neighborhood in the dirty 630. Yeah, Joe Flacco really impressed me with his ability to scramble and throw on the run. They showed that one play with Steve Smith where he cut his route off and went deep when Flacco broke the pocket, and they did a really good job of the receivers did recognizing when Flacco was in trouble and getting open, which I felt was the difference. And the Steelers' pass rush couldn't make much of an impact. And I think Mike Tomlin's job is definitely in trouble. So we got more NFL talk on the second half of this break. We'll probably close out the show, I'm thinking, with all NFL talk. So we got a lot of picks, a lot of good debate coming up. You're listening to the best in sports talk right here in Macomb on 88.3 The Dog. It's C4 Sports, and we will be right back.
This is WIU 88.3 FM, The Dog.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money, always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
All right. Welcome back to C4 Sports. We have Mr. Adam Feiner in the studio with us now to finish up talking about some Western Illinois baseball. You just got off practice, I believe?
Actually, new to this year, we have yoga
Oh,
inserted
there you go. Fresh
into
off
the
yoga
program.
practice. Please explain
Yoga.
more.
Ah.
As you're listening to, this is our little feature, our Inside
Yes.
Western Illinois
Squatting
Baseball with
dog.
Mr. Adam Feiner.
Yes. Basically, our coach has been kind of big into yoga. He's a big confidence guy, big focus guy, and yoga kind of gets you in the present moment. It relaxes you, stretches you out a little bit, takes care of sore muscles, and we've integrated that into our Friday schedule. We'll practice for an hour, do a little running, and then go inside for some yoga. If it's nice outside, we'll stay outside. I think it's, we're doing 10 weeks of yoga, and we're in the second week. We just got done, and I think that we'll see a positive effect because of this. Because, baseball is not a real contact sport, but it takes a toll on your bodies. You're throwing, the shoulder muscle is not supposed to throw 90 miles an hour,
Yeah.
but it's an anomaly how that happens. Muscles are teared away, and you got to build them back stronger. And I think the yoga will build that up.
Are you enjoying the yoga? Is it fun? I've personally never done yoga.
I don't know if I would say it's fun. It's more, I get enjoyment out of, relieving some sore muscles, and that's, I can walk away from that feeling a little more refreshed, and I'm actually getting that, so I'm enjoying it.
That's good. That's good.
And I have, of course, a regular Darius Hawkins type of question.
Go ahead.
So y'all have a yoga instructor, right?
We do.
Is this a female instructor?
We do. Yeah.
Okay. I know you have a girlfriend, so I'm not going to ask any more personal questions past that. I'm not going to get you in trouble because at C4 Sports, we are a family, and we never set each other up to fail. I just needed some details for my people.
I don't know if she...
I just needed something for my
is
peoples in
listening.
the streets. I just needed them because
Yeah.
I received, some phone calls and texts real
Right,
quick. They wanted
yeah.
to know about that. So I just had to fulfill that real quick.
Right. Yeah, the contacts.
Yeah,
They gotta know.
Darius is always expanding the context.
Right. Yeah, the girlfriend is not listening, but therefore
okay.
we should not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got
We'll
you.
stay-
We won't ask about that. It'll
Yeah,
be
we won't.
confidential.
Yeah, we
we'll
never-
wait till it's off the air.
I mean,
Yeah.
hey, you ain't even got to say that, see? Because then, that's how you start, planting seeds of, hold on, what y'all talking about? So you don't even want to do that. What you want to
He's
do
gonna get yelled at now.
see, you just want to leave that.
Show.
Matter of fact,
I'm
I didn't even
sorry.
ask a question. Yep, what? How'd that happen? Didn't even say anything.
All right, so we're gonna ignore Darius for a little bit, and
Yep.
we're gonna
Yep.
go. Are you gonna continue to do yoga during the regular season, and when you start working, like getting into heavier workouts and stuff?
Well, I guess I'm not sure. We basically have the fall schedule and a little bit into winter.
Yeah,
Right
'Cause,
now.
yeah, you guys played over the weekend. I remember that.
We did. We came out 7-4 winners over Lincoln Land Community College. I don't know if yoga will extend into the regular season. I think we'll, want to become a little more baseball specific, but I think this is just getting us more flexible, and I think it'll better ourselves, concentration wise and flexibility wise.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
It doesn't mess with anybody's routine or anything like that.
I don't believe so, because we talk a lot about breathing and keeping yourself calm even when you got a 3-2 count on a batter and it's 8th inning and you're in a jam as a reliever. As me as a catcher, we know somebody's going. It just calms you down a little bit more.
So yeah, I guess basically, how much longer does your guys' fall ball schedule go, and kind of what's the next step after that? as
We
winter comes?
We'll play this upcoming Sunday, the 14th. We'll play again on the 21st, and then we'll have a week where we'll play our Purple and Gold World Series. It's kind of a big deal, just for us. The coaches draft, they have a war room kind of deal
nice.
going. We'll play that on a Wednesday. We'll have the weekend kind of to regroup, and then we'll play Blackhawk Community College the first Sunday in October. I believe it's the 5th. And that'll wrap up fall ball, and then we'll go into building up for an Omaha Challenge, which is kind of a various amount of workouts, test strength, flexibility, stamina, every which way, and that'll be Thanksgiving break, and then we'll focus on school for the rest of the first semester.
They really don't give you many breaks until after Thanksgiving break, do they?
Not really. Not really. The one thing that I can tell the viewers, or I'm sorry, not the viewers, we're not on TV, listeners, is that Division I baseball is a job. You know.
Yeah.
I was told by my father before I came down here, you either make the baseball team and that's your job, or you go get a job. And I don't have time for another job.
Yeah.
Besides this one.
Yeah, that's understandable. Any last messages you want to give to our listeners for Western baseball at this point?
If you're sticking around, come out and see us play Illinois Central College this Sunday. Starts at noon. I believe it'll be more than 9 innings, so you get some bonus baseball.
Oh, there you go. Well, you guys have the concession stand open. I have to ask this every time. All right. I'm hungry, if you couldn't tell. I had Subway before the show, but the Subway has since worn off.
I know, I haven't ate since like 12.
All right, Ryan. Let's
Well,
go ahead and move.
No, one more.
You got one more?
Go ahead.
What's your pick for the football game?
Oh, yes.
Well, okay. I was trying to segue into that.
Oh,
but it didn't work.
what-
It's okay.
What
It's all
did
right.
you
Just
want
don't
me?
worry.
I did
No,
not.
I wanted.
I did not get the hand
It's
signal.
okay.
Okay.
We're
You were
working
like
on it. We gotta
Eli.
work
I
on
was
it.
like a receiver. I don't know your hand signal.
I probably. that's
Ooh,
probably
a
my
shot at
fault.
the Giants. I like that.
That's
Okay.
probably. We're gonna have to work on that before the next show. But
Okay, yeah.
yes, Adam.
Let's build it up. Versus Drake at home, the 1,000th Western game, and oh my! I see, I messed that up. I messed myself up because I was trying to get too dramatic.
This
Okay.
is our fault, Ryan. We're throwing off the mojo now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna be quiet now. Pick versus Drake.
Yeah, your pick. What's the score? Well, really, what's the point differential?
Yeah.
Point differential?
Yeah.
You know, I like the way Western's been playing. I'm going to say by 10.
So close, so close. I got so excited. So close. That could have
Okay.
been the greatest moment
Yeah.
in C4 Sports history.
1 point away, and you would have been there.
You would have had our C4 Sports chain because Ryan had 10, so you're gonna match Ryan. I
Okay.
went with 12.
You went with 12, and
you
I had 11.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
would have picked 13 or 9,
yeah.
that's what we were. That's what we were excited. We were waiting for you. We were so excited for this.
I don't know if I could see this. I'm sorry. Just, you know.
Now it's time to cover some NFL games. Last week was pretty good for Matt and Darius on picking. Matt just got lucky, I think.
Hey, that's because I didn't pick with my heart. That's why.
Yeah, I picked with my heart, and I picked with my heart again this week. So let's see how that goes.
I don't like my picks. This week.
So we still got some time. We have let's see, we have Detroit at Carolina. Detroit is coming off an impressive win, I guess if you could say that, against the Giants, and then Carolina's coming off a win with their backup quarterback Anderson, but Cam Newton is supposed to be back.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that football game?
Well, I just want to say Carolina, they have the rookie receiver Calvin Benjamin from Florida State, and we were talking about, well, at least some of us. I don't remember which one of us had Carolina in the playoffs. It was you, Matt.
Yep.
You had, okay, I know for sure. I said they were going to fall off because they didn't really have any receivers. But Calvin Benjamin, he played well against Tampa Bay. I mean, it was Tampa Bay, so I mean that's not really too much. But I mean, still, he had 6 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown with Derek Anderson throwing to him. And I like big receivers. I know we talked about that before. You know, liking big receivers. And he's a big guy, so I mean that's a nice piece to have. Maybe him and Cam can build a camaraderie for years down the road. So I thought that was nice. And also Carolina, they do have a good defense. Last year they never allowed over 20 points at home, and they're playing at home versus Detroit, who we know has the high-powered offense. I think just because it's Cam Newton's first game and he's not really in sync right now, it's going to give Detroit a little bit of room just to take this game. This was a tough one to pick for me, though, especially when I saw Cam was coming back. But I do have Detroit, taking this out. It might be a little close, though.
I believe, let me see if I can remember this right. I took Carolina based on the fact that Newton is coming back for this game.
Yeah.
And I just think that matters, and I believe it's in Carolina, which helps because, I don't know if Ford Field's a real home advantage per se, like Seattle or Green Bay could be, but I just like the way Carolina played. Without their leader, I think players stepped up, and I think that's going to keep continuing. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? No. But I can see them beating the Lions because the Lions didn't get much of a test against New York.
For me, I did pick the Panthers to make the playoffs. I think Cam Newton has an MVP caliber season when he's fully healthy, and I feel very good right now about telling my buddy Nick when I was at NIU to pick Kelvin Benjamin in like the 10th round of his draft because it made me look very smart this weekend, and I made sure to text him about that. But I really liked the pickup of Benjamin. I think he fits that offense well. He almost fits the role Steve Smith played for all those years. He's a smaller, undersized receiver, but very fast, very athletic, and with good hands. And now they're getting Cam Newton back, and I think it's only going to make things better for Carolina's offense. And they still have that defense. I think at the end of the day, the defense is what carries them into the playoffs and Cam Newton's playmaking ability. I think the Lions are a good team with a lot of talent. That's just their depth is in question and their maturity level, specifically Matthew Stafford and the Lions' defense. And I think for this one, I know I picked the Panthers before the show just because I had them in the playoffs. And I'm not buying the Lions train, not yet. I know the Bears and Packers, who are my two teams to make the playoffs out of the North, both lost in Week 1. The Bears obviously looking worse than the Packers did. But I'm still not buying into the Lions hype. I never have. I don't think I ever will. So that's why I got the Panthers in this one.
Yeah, I'm not, like you said, I'm not going to buy into the Lions
too
early. But I think this is one of the games that's going to show if they're going to be for real this year.
Oh, yeah.
It's also nice to have Stafford as my quarterback with Calvin Johnson as a weapon. I have Carolina winning. I think just going back home, Cam Newton being back, and seeing what the receivers could do with a backup quarterback, I'm really happy to see what they'll do with Cam Newton. And with his running game, will open it up even more. I don't know if he's going to run too much with his ribs or not. But, yeah, I have Carolina winning. So that's I'm pretty confident with that one. Like you said, Lions, no, not ready. Hoping Olsen is, I think, going to have a big year this year.
Yeah, I think he had a nice game last week, too, I believe. Yeah. And before we move on from the NFC North, since we're already on the Lions, I just want to go ahead and, give out the Adrian Peterson news. Adrian Peterson is deactivated for this Sunday. I believe they play New England, I think. Yeah.
At home.
Yeah, he's been indicted for a child injury case hitting his child with a switch, and we don't really have a lot of details on that. So
I think they said all I got from the ESPN app was that there were cuts and bruises found on this child.
Yeah, AP is extremely strong, and of course, you don't want to imagine what that's like. We don't. But I do know. I'm just gonna say this: spare the rod, spoil the child. I'm just gonna say that and just leave that right there.
Okay. Next game we have is for Darius. We have Dallas at Tennessee. And I'll start because I want to say something because I was gonna help out Darius and pick them last week. I will never do that again for the rest of the year unless they're facing a horrible team.
I'm about to say you gonna have us go 0-16, man.
I'm gonna say you guys are gonna vie for the first pick in next year's draft.
Those are fighting words, there.
Sorry,
they're fighting words.
No. So, yeah, I have Tennessee winning. I think them going to Kansas City last week and like manhandling the defense of Kansas City kind of showed that I think they're for real, and Jake Locker might actually show up as a quarterback this year. So, and Tennessee's at home, so that's why I'm going to give Tennessee the advantage, and that I'm just not going to trust Romo anymore.
Well, let me tell you how confusing this whole game is for me right now. It's a little backstory to this. Fantasy football in one of my leagues, my defense was the Rams. And they played like garbage last week. Minnesota killed them, and then Chris Long got hurt. So I dropped them, and I picked up Tennessee. And I forgot at the time that they played Dallas this week. Then I look, we reviewing these games. I'm like, oh, we played the Titans. Then I fixed my fantasy lineup, and I was like, you know what? I think I still had the Titans starting on defense. And they forced 3 turnovers last week versus Alex Smith. But yet, I still have my Cowboys winning this game. Why? Well, because we know that it's hard for me ever to pick against the Cowboys, no matter how just easy it is to see them losing. And then also, I don't know how Tony Romo, I don't believe that he'll do the stupid stuff he did last week. maybe well, no, it's not maybe. I am partially insane if y'all don't know, because being a part of a Cowboys fan, that's part of our DNA. You have to be partly insane to keep rooting for this team every week. But Dez Bryant didn't do anything last week. I feel like he's going to do something, at least catch a touchdown. He was dehydrated supposedly in the first game. I don't really know how you're dehydrated the first game of the season, as if you haven't been healthy the whole offseason. I don't really understand how that works. But, and I think it's really just my thoughts on what Tennessee is. For a while, they haven't really been too good. They started off nice last year before Jake Locker got hurt, but he hasn't really proven himself for real as a real NFL quarterback. So I just think it's ugly if we lose to the Titans. Like, that's just an ugly moment in our season, which we're known for having ugly moments, but I just can't pick Tennessee right now. Dallas, we got to win. We got to at least end this week being 1-1, please.
I took Tennessee in this game, I think, because they're at home, and I really liked what I saw out of their defense. You know, there's not a lot of names on there anymore. They've all gone their separate ways, but they stepped up. I watched a little bit of the Dallas San Fran game, and it was just, you know, they were porous on defense. I mean, and that's going to be a struggle kind of throughout the season, but I give them a fighting chance based on the fact that I saw them actually, you know, run the ball.
Yeah.
DeMarco Murray's a good running back.
Had a nice game.
They just got to give him a chance. I say probably Titans by a field goal. I think Dallas keeps it close because I think they're finding out that Romo doesn't have to do it all. He doesn't have to throw the ball 55 times. You can give DeMarco Murray 20 carries and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think Dallas is finally finding some type of balance offensively. I think Dez Bryant has a better game. He actually shows up this time and isn't dehydrated. So I think he has a good game. He scores a touchdown, maybe even two. I'm picking the Cowboys in this one. Like I said, I didn't really like my picks this week. There are too many like kind of tough throw up in the air matchups.
Yeah,
a lot of them are between bad teams too, like this one.
No, and I think it was because of the first week.
Yeah.
Because you saw teams were like, where did this come from? And that's where like Buffalo versus Miami was a difficult game for me.
Yeah, especially how Buffalo played last week.
Yeah. So this is definitely a tough game for me. I believe I picked the Cowboys with Darius, but I'm not too confident about that. But I think because I know NFL Live did a segment a few years ago that they've been airing. It's the Tony Romo roller coaster during the season with all the highs and all the lows. I think he has a bounce back game. And, I mean, this is the Titans we're talking about. They do have a good defense, but they're not going to make the playoffs. I don't really see them going anywhere this year. So I think this is a game the Cowboys have to take advantage of if Darius, your team wants to be serious contenders for a playoff spot, which I don't think anybody here thinks they are.
Including me. I'm about to say, where did you get that from?
Yeah.
We're not about to make the playoffs.
He's listening to First Take and.
Right, yeah, man.
I thought you said they were going to threaten for a playoff spot.
No, I said we were going to threaten to win the division,
okay.
which is not the same thing. Because even whoever wins our division, half the time shouldn't be in the playoffs.
He was thinking about that when he was thinking about all four teams, and then he thought.
Yeah.
And I was going like, well, Dallas might have it after seeing the first half again.
Yeah, when Philly was down 17-0 at halftime, in my mind, I was like, oh, NFC champs. I was looking for T-shirts on eBay, and then they came back, and I was like, "Whoa, let me chill out a little bit." Yeah, I was already like had the hat and everything. Like I was ready, and then Philly had to come back.
If you want that dream to come true at all, this is a game they have to win. They have to. So that's why I'm picking Romo and the Cowboys, even though I have no faith in Tony Romo. I'm gonna put at least a little bit in him this week.
Next game we got is Seattle at San Diego. Seattle's coming off of an impressive win against Green Bay, and San Diego Chargers are coming off a disappointing loss to Arizona, I would say, because they looked pretty good in the first half.
Yeah, they did.
Phillip Rivers is starting to become a semi-elite quarterback, I guess you could say that. I'm trying to find it. It goes like Seattle is favored by 6. I have Seattle winning. But my heart, I thought this with my mind. I wanted to pick San Diego with my heart because they're at home. But I just think Arizona's defense isn't even close to, well, they're kind of close to Seattle's defense a little bit. So, but I just had to go with my head and say that Seattle was going to win, but I think it's going to be a lot closer game. I'm going to say Seattle wins by 3 points. I'm going the under.
I'm going to take the over by 7. I'm going to go 1 point over. This was when I was looking at the schedule when the schedule first came out, and the season was approaching. I saw this game week 2 and I said, this could be kind of a sleeper game. Seattle could slip up here because, I've heard talk of, where are the Seahawks going to lose? They play in a tough division, and they got this game, and that was kind of my sleeper pick, but San Diego had an opportunity to win in Arizona, and good teams take advantage of that. That might be a game where you're 9-7, and you look back in week 17, and you say, we probably could have won that, and we could be in the playoffs now, but we didn't. And Seattle's an elite team, and they win those kind of games when they're close like that. So I'm going to take Seattle by 7. Low scoring, though. Phillip Rivers has got to step up. We'll see what he's made of with the somewhat elite.
As I said to Ryan and Matt last week, Phillip Rivers is my fantasy quarterback in one of my leagues, the same league that I had the Rams defense. And I ended up losing that fantasy game by 1 point. Because on 4th and 2, I forgot who it was that Phillip Rivers threw the ball to.
Royal, I think.
Was it Royal? It might have been Eddie Royal. He dropped the ball after it was in his hands, and if he would have caught that, I would have won. So, thanks to him and Larry Fitzgerald, I didn't win that game. But I actually am benching Phillip Rivers this week and putting Tannehill in as a starter because I think just going against Seattle, I think that's kind of tough. And I kind of ride with what Matt said earlier. Unless injuries come into play, I can't really see myself picking against Seattle really this year. I told y'all last week, they just are really a step ahead, maybe 2 steps ahead of everybody else right now. So maybe if when they play Denver again, maybe I might pick Denver to beat Seattle, depending on how the season is looking at that time. But as far as what I remember from the schedule right now and how Seattle has just looked basically the last year and a half, I got Seattle winning this game.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you used that quote I had because I'm definitely not picking against Seattle this year because this will kind of take us into Bears talk a little bit, but giving all my Bears friends and family a little bit of a hard time for losing to, as I would say to them, a team quarterbacked by E.J. Manuel. They all rebutted, well, the Packers got destroyed. There's a big difference between the Buffalo Bills and the Seattle Seahawks. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to pick one game against Seattle unless injuries start to come into play, like Darius just said. And I think it's a pretty easy win for Seattle, and that's a 10-point victory for the Seahawks in this one. Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback, but he throws too many interceptions for me. And, yeah, I think Seattle's defense, which I hope, because that's my fantasy defense, takes advantage of that. I see them getting 3 turnovers in this game, and they walk away with a 10-point lead, which is a big win for the Seahawks because I don't think they're going to score many points. I think they took advantage of a bad Packers defense last week that was really struggling. It's early in the year. Definitely have not found their groove yet. That's why you saw Seattle put up as many points as they did, as well as Aaron Rodgers struggling and turning the ball over and giving them a short field. But, yeah, I see a 10-point victory in this one for the Seahawks.
All right, the next game we have is for all the Chicago fans around here.
Here we go. That worked out well.
In Macomb. Chicago Bears at San Francisco. San Francisco favored by 7 points. We'll go with Matt because he still thinks they're going to win the NFC North.
Yeah, I went with the Bears. I think, yes, they lost to the Bills, and it's terrible, absolutely terrible. Bears fans, there is no excuse for your loss last week. There is none. I've heard them all from all my friends and my family this past week. You lost to a team quarterback by E.J. Manuel. That's all I got to say. That's all I'm going to say about Week 1 for the Bears. But it was Week 1, and it was Jay Cutler showing why they will not ever win a Super Bowl with Jay Cutler at the helm. I think they'll make the NFC Championship game this year, but they're not going to win that game, and they're not going to win a Super Bowl with Jay Cutler. I saw on Twitter somebody said, I don't remember who it was not my own words, but somebody said if you're a quarterback and if it's I believe it was 3rd and short and you throw an interception to a player wearing a 90 on his jersey, your head is full of cabbage.
Yes,
so that is what I have to say about Jay Cutler, and the man takes no responsibility. If you do follow me on Twitter, I retweeted a ESPN story from yesterday talking about how Jay Cutler has never accepted responsibility in his career and why he never will, and that's the root of the Bears' problems, and I fully agree with that. I hold no ill will to the Bears. I'm from Chicago, love the city. I'd be happy for the city if the Bears won. I just cannot stand Jay Cutler. I think he's a little child, and I think that's why they lost the game, was because of Cutler's immaturity. and I see them bouncing back this week. The defense, I think, steps it up a little bit. I think the Bears' defense is in the same situation as the Packers' defense. They need some time to gel. They're not going to be an elite defense, not top 10, not top 15, but I think they'll be good enough to bring both teams into the playoffs with the caliber of offenses they have. I think you see Brandon Marshall and Jeffries have a big game, as well as Cutler bounce back. Only throws one interception, I think, against a 49ers team that is in limbo right now. Despite beating the Cowboys, which was no surprise to all of us except Darius last week. I'm going to take as many shots as I can at that one, because I got while I can.
Say, you might as well.
While I can, but I got the Bears on a little bit of an upset in this one. I think they have a bounce back game, because I know that they have a target on their back. Obviously, I follow a lot of the Chicago media, and Cutler as well as the rest of the offense feel like they have something to prove in this game, and I think you're going to see them come out and play that way.
Well, I actually have San Francisco winning this game. I think it's going to be real close, though. This was probably the hardest game for me to pick this week. It was really close. Because, like I've said, San Francisco, like you said, Matt, they are in limbo. They're not the same team that we've seen the last 3 years. But at the same time, it's really the Bears' defense. Shout out to Chris Conte, though. That man is hilarious. I like watching Chris Conte. I like watching him.
Did you hear? I think Lance Briggs said he's actually one of the best safeties in the league. I believe.
That's when supporting your teammates goes too far. Yeah.
That's a little debatable.
Feels
Chris Conte's the reason the Packers won the NFC North last year.
Yes.
He was on Randall Cobb on that fourth down.
Yes,
and long
he was.
play.
And I also, like you did, pick the Bears to win the NFC North. The defense, like I said, the Bears, they really don't have any. But and Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall, I'm sure they're gonna play, but they missed practice also on Wednesday, so I don't know.
That is true.
And I know Marshall really got banged up when they played Buffalo. But just because San Francisco, because the Bears have no defense, and then also San Francisco's opening up the new stadium, the $1.2 billion stadium, whatever they have. I think they'll probably usher it in right. They'll probably get this win.
I have San Francisco winning. Last week, I think, was a tale of one quarter versus 3 quarters. That first quarter, 49ers just looked like the 49ers that from last year. And then the last 3, they kind of just skated through saying, okay, we know Romo's not going to beat us. They're going to have to pass the ball to beat us, and they don't see that happening. I think this is going to be their first true test for the defense. With the more offense than they faced last week, but I have San Francisco. I'm going to say 10 points. I'm going to say they're a double-digit win. They're at home. I just don't trust Cutler. If he's going to make stupid mistakes like that against the Bills, you have Alden. No, is it Alden? No, not Alden Smith. The other Smith. Justin Smith. He's going to say, all right, Cutler, I'm going to sack you all day and get a pick. I mean, I could see him. We're forcing a fumble, one of the two. I say Smith has a good game against Cutler and that offensive line that didn't look too good against the Bills.
I have San Fran winning. I liked what they saw against, they took advantage of the mistakes Dallas made. And I think this is worst case for Bears fans. I think a lot of them were so confident, they were looking to this week's game. Because, this is where we prove where we've taken that next step.
Yeah.
But you couldn't even get past Buffalo. Now you're sitting 0-1 looking at San Fran and how well they played, and you might be 0-2. And you got Green Bay looming twice on the schedule. Detroit's improved. Not the start they wanted, but I think they'll recover. They'll play San Fran tight. You guys have said pretty much everything. The one thing I want to touch on, I think the new stadium for the Niners is in Santa Clara, which is about, 60 miles from San Fran?
Yeah.
No clue why. Money, I know the answer, but
it's why
I have no clue why.
It's like why the Phoenix Coyotes for the NHL changed their name. They're going to be the Arizona Coyotes this year because it's why the Cardinals aren't the Phoenix Cardinals or the Arizona Cardinals, because they don't play anywhere near. They're in Glendale, I believe.
Yes.
Which is pretty far from Phoenix.
And I heard I don't know if y'all saw last week with the Cowboys game, there were a lot of 49ers fans there.
It was a lot of red in there.
And I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that actually to take a trip to Dallas from San Francisco and buy tickets there was cheaper than to buy tickets for the San Francisco game because of the new stadium and I guess in a new destination. So it was actually cheaper to travel to Dallas. That's what I actually saw last week. So that might have been a reason why.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
There was a lot of.
Yeah, it was, man. They showed a sea of red, and I'm like, I like red and all, but we at Dallas,
all
man.
this cheering, and I'm going like, Dallas just screwed up, and then they showed the crowd, I'm going like,
yeah.
I bet that made Troy Aikman just stomach ache seeing all that red.
We can't ever win at home in the first place. It might as well be San Francisco's house.
All right. Yeah. Last game, if we get to the last one.
We still got 15 minutes.
Yeah, we still got 15 minutes. All right, let's just do it. We have the New York Jets at the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is favored by... All of us have the same pick, but I didn't know if you were going to make picks on how much. Green Bay's favored by 9, and the Jets looked okay against Oakland, even though it was Oakland. Ivory impressed me as the running back. Geno Smith did okay. But it was against the Raiders, and I said that the Raiders would have 7 wins, and I don't know what I don't know what I was thinking last week. But I have Green Bay probably winning by, I'm going to say by 13. I think they go a little bit above. I think being at home and them wanting to prove that game against Seattle, I have Aaron Rodgers having a huge game. And hopefully Eddie Lacy is back. I think I saw that he had full participation in practice.
Yeah, they said he should be. I think he was cleared to play Sunday, so
okay.
He's probable.
I thought he wasn't playing
right now.
So I'm hoping he has a big game and get back, because he's had 2 concussions already in his career. So.
I saw something saying he said that he will change his running style when it starts to be a problem for him, like when it starts to affect him, so probably later on in his career.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have him by 13. Aaron Rodgers, big game and first home game of the season, and prove why Green Bay will go over Chicago and win the North, unlike Matt and Darius.
I would not be a sad
I hope you're right, too. Yeah. I don't have a problem with Green Bay. I told you, Aaron Rodgers, I feel, is the best quarterback in the league. I don't like Chicago at all, but I just thought the way the schedule worked and y'all defensive, problems. And then I wasn't really thinking about, once again, shout out Chris Conte. Like I said, that man is hilarious. But,
Chris Conte, best defensive back for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, but I don't even have any notes on this game. I have Green Bay winning by 14. I think 2 touchdowns, easy.
Okay, I've got a little closer game. I think it's going to be about a touchdown. It pains me to say this because I think Geno Smith is actually going to have a decent game. I just think the Packers have a lot of issues, and I don't know if they've got a lot of new faces that have come in recently and are playing some pretty big minutes for them. I don't know if they're not buying into the system or what's going on, but I think the Packers still win. I just think they outscore them. When you give these elite quarterbacks 10 days to prepare and look at a defense, I know the Jets are very good, but I haven't taken a look at the statistics, but you take a look at what Peyton Manning does and Tom Brady does when they go from playing on Thursday night to playing on the next Sunday, and their stats greatly improve. And I expect a big game, 300-plus passing game, 2 or 3 touchdowns from Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think the Packers are going to win big in this one. I think you'll see this is a game where the defense, I think, can come together and really step up. From that Seattle game, the guy defensively who really impressed me was the rookie, Clinton Dix. Got to give him a shout-out for the name alone. But I thought he had a really good game in his first game in the NFL, and I think he's going to step up. I'm going to be surprised to see if he gets a pick, makes some big hits from the secondary, and I think the Packers, 14 to 17 points, I think that they're going to win this one. But I think they win pretty easily. I think Rodgers goes off, has a 3 or 4 touchdown type of day, and first home game of the season is a big one for the Packers.
Yep. Last game we have is Monday night. We have Eagles at Colts. Indianapolis is only favored by 3 points, though. I have Colts winning, just like Andrew Luck at home. That showed last year against Kansas City in the playoffs where they were down big and then they just came back and just looked unstoppable. I like Andrew Luck to here in the next 3 years to win an MVP.
Wow.
I think he's that good. I think he just needs a running game, and Trent Richardson is not that person. I think that's the only thing that they need to shore up to help him out. But besides that, I have him winning by a touchdown. It's going to be close. I think Nick Foles is going to bounce back from his mishaps in the first half against Jacksonville. But yeah, I have Colts winning by a touchdown.
This was the second hardest game for me to pick, and it really goes. My pick really is off of what I want to happen, because being in the NFC East, I can't stand Philly at all. So I really hope the Colts win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Philly wins. I think LaShawn McCoy is going to have a big game versus that Indianapolis defense, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that the Broncos ran the ball well versus the Colts last week. So, but I'm not a fan of Nick Foles at all. But I think it's going to end up being a close game, and hopefully that's the spread might be right. The Colts probably win by 3. I won't be surprised by that.
With all these new kickers that have come into the league, I think it comes down to Adam Vinatieri, a guy that's been around, possibly the greatest kicker of all time, greatest clutch kicker of all time. I think he kicks a game winner, and it's very close throughout. I did see this week that Robert Mathis is out.
Yeah, for the year.
I believe for the season, and that's a huge hit because he led the NFL in sacks last year.
Yeah.
And they don't really have a proven pass rusher except for him. Dwight Freeney's not coming back.
Yeah.
So I think Philly keeps it really close. I just think the home advantage, being back in the drum, helps the Colts win.
Yeah, I think I like your point, Adam. That's why I'm going to go with the Colts as well. I got them by 7 in this one. I think Luck has a good game. I like the heart I saw from him last week, and I think he's going to have a good game, and I don't really like the Eagles too much this year.
You do realize...
I know, I changed my pick.
No, you didn't. Who did you say?
I thought I said the Eagles before the show. Did I say the Colts?
Nope.
All right, good.
Colts.
I want the Colts.
You're the one who has the Eagles winning, so you got to change something.
I'm going Colts.
Good man.
Okay.
Good man.
Why not?
Thank God.
I was sitting here thinking I picked the Eagles, and I'm like, you know what? Now I want the Colts, but...
I thought I picked the Colts. I don't know.
No.
All right, so go Indy.
Yeah,
that's basically what we're saying
Yeah.
right here. So final thoughts. What do you guys, before we get off air here, what are you looking forward to for this week in the NFL? Darius, we'll start with you.
I'm looking for me to win both my fantasy games. Because I would say something about the Cowboys, but we know I can't count on that.
I'm hoping for bounce back game for the Colts and for Green Bay. I guess out of the AFC, I'd be the a Colts fan closest. Like I said, I like Andrew Luck as a quarterback, a lot better than RG3. And I might, after this week, I might have to jump on the Miami Dolphin bandwagon again and see them go horrible for the rest of the year.
I'm gonna actually build on your point. I'm actually anxious to see who comes out atop the AFC East this week between Miami or Buffalo.
And for me, I guess it's the NFC North for me. I want to see Packers and Bears, who's going to step up and win those games. It's really a bigger game for the Bears than it is the Packers. I don't see us having too much trouble with the Jets. And for all my family and friends back home, this is the make or break game for you guys. So
will you change your opinion if the Bears lose?
Possibly. I'll have to see the way they play before I do that. So, but that is a possibility. We'll have to wait and see for Sunday. So thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. This has been myself, Matt Langman. You can tweet at me for next week's show, or anytime if you want to talk sports. I'm down at LManMatt93.
I'm Adam Feiner, and you can find me on Twitter at NobodyFeiner.
And you can follow me at Mason_ILChief.
And you already know Darius Hawkins. Y'all can get at me at _Hawk_13.
All right, so you've been listening to C4 Sports right here on 88.3 The Dog. Thanks for listening, and everybody have a great weekend.